am here to answer all of your training and behavior questions. Jade, you can't go out. Come here. And Jade is here with me as well, wanting to go out and play with 2 other dogs that are out there. So just a reminder, when you ask questions, please put your name and the state you're from. Just because to me it just says Facebook user, and I want to be able to enter you in the live drawing. So if I'm looking away, it's because I'm writing your name down. So please post and just give me your full name, what state you're from, and then I will enter you into the drawing. So we'll do a drawing, but depending on how many questions we have, we'll do a drawing between 7 and 7:30. And then I'm happy to stay on longer and answer. Hey, Emily. All right, Emily down. I already know where you're from, Emily. Then I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer and answer more questions if there's a lot of people with questions. I can't stay past 8 Mountain Time just because I have a board and train. Hi, Cindy. At my house. Oh, Cindy, I know you've been on before, but remind me where you're from because I can't remember. Let's see. I'm going to get Destiny. Oh, Destiny. What part of Idaho do you want? So one of my friends just moved to northern Idaho. My cousin actually has property in Oriana, and that's where I want to retire. Is like Oriana, Idaho, and be a hermit because it is so beautiful there, but so like desolate. So that's my happy place. Like when I need to de-stress, I go to my cousin's because he has no internet, no phones, nothing. And so it's like, oh, Meridian. Yeah. That is, so all my cousins and my aunt live in Kuna. And, oh, Cindy, Wellington. That's right. So anyway, I want to go to Oriana, which is like about an hour and something southwest of Boise. But like when I go there, nobody can find me. Nobody can get a hold of me. We have so much fun. It's lovely. So yeah, Idaho was my next state. That's where I'm going. Okay, Anita, Florida. Let me write a few names down, then I'll start to answer questions. Beth, Maryland. Oh, good. I'm glad you have the same issue. I can never remember if it's Kuma or Kuna or Kuna. Anything. Anyway. Okay. Let me answer. Oh, I have to scroll back up. Oh, let me write down. Yeah, so that's what my cousin says, is that they only will like get a skiff of snow. The last time I went, we kayaked the Snake River. We went 4-wheeling forever and never saw another person. And he's on all this property, so we shot targets because we both like to shoot guns, but we don't shoot animals. So we just did target practice, and it was so much fun. I love Idaho. If I could talk my mom into moving to Idaho, I'd move tomorrow. Okay, let's see. I better go back up because I could talk about Idaho all night long because I love it. Okay, Cindy. We have a 6-month-old. Joe is a teenager. Yeah, so that's typical with an adolescent. The first thing that we always want to do is environmental management. So when I have dogs that get into things like such as the garbage, like I put up a baby gate so the dogs can't even get in the kitchen unless I'm there. And then I can, tell them leave it or or whatever. So if your dog's getting into like laundry, you can close doors. You can, so I have a puppy board and train with me right now. And man, you guys that have puppies, I have to hand it to you because I always rescue my dogs a little bit older so I don't have to go through the puppy stage. But I think this experience is giving me a lot more empathy for you guys because it is hard. And this puppy that is at my house is deaf. And so we are learning sign language. And so I can't just say, hey, snap my fingers, because if he's not looking at me, like this is his like sign. But if he's not looking at me, it doesn't do any good. But he is into everything. So I totally get it. So I've had to like put stuff up, close doors, things like that. We are learning like a leave it. So you can do that. But the easiest thing with a puppy is just environmental management and put stuff up, especially right now with Christmas coming. Most of my clients are like, how do I get my dog to not take bulbs from the tree? So we've been doing leave it, drop it, things like that. So with a teenager, you want to just continue training, have consistent boundaries, and interrupt. So interrupt behavior you don't like. So it's like, hey, you can't get into that, but here you can have this. And I am not kidding. I'm doing this every 10 minutes when I'm home with the dog. I have to keep like giving him a calm, giving him a toy, giving him something, because he wants everything he can't have. And he'll chew on a toy for a minute and then he'll go back to something he can't have. So I get it. And he's only 14 weeks. He's not even a teenager yet. So yeah, just clear, consistent boundaries, keep reinforcing good behavior, interrupting, and then show the dog what you want them to do instead. So instead of getting into that, let's do a snuffle mat, or let's do a settle on your mat, or go to your place, or things like that. So hopefully that will help. Julie, I'm just writing your name down from New York. What's I gonna say? It is tough, and it's constant like management. And when I need a break, I don't feel bad about putting him in a crate and just saying, okay, it's time for you to take a nap because I need a break. And I work with dogs all day, and I'm pretty patient. And so, but after a while, it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, I need a break. So then it's okay to put your dog in a crate and take a break. And we do like lots of leave it, lots of drop it, things like that. So just clear boundaries and continue to reinforce good behavior. So like when this dog is laying on the couch and being calm, I'll give him, like, this is his mark. Instead of a click or a yes, I just do this. So it's like, oh yeah, good boy. And then he gets a treat. So he knows that like calm behavior is what's going to get him the treat. Getting into stuff is not. I'm going to take it away and then give him something else he can chew on. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not an easy answer. You just have to continue with the training, continue with the leave it, reinforce good behavior. So there's, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but there's and I can't even remember now who did this. Anyway, it's called SMART times 50. And SMART stands for see, mark, and reward training. So they say to take like 50 pieces of your dog's kibble out and use it throughout the day. I don't count 50 pieces out. In fact, I just use treats. But rather than waiting to catch your dog doing something that you don't want and then trying to correct it, catch your dog doing something that's good. And that's kind of like what I've tried to start doing. So like when Jade is being calm, because she's usually never calm, I reward her for that. When the puppy's being calm on the couch, I'm rewarding him for that. When he's not peeing on the rug, I reward him for that. So, you know, if your dog like sits for meals, like reward. So anything that you see your dog doing during the day that is good, that you like and you want to continue, because remember, behavior that is reinforced is going to continue. So just like, I have treats like kind of all over the house, up high where the dogs can't get them. And if I see, the dog doing something good, it's like, oh, good job. And then I give them a treat. So I'm rewarding good behavior. Okay, Emily, I've got a question for you. Whoops, I'm trying to scroll. Oh, it's the only thing I don't like about this program. It's so hard to scroll. So I've been trying to work on hold, but my dog, as soon as I put it in her mouth, she takes it, then immediately drops it. Okay. I'm doing the exact same thing with my dog right now. And I'm doing pens and pencils and things like that. And the reason that they spit it out so fast is because they know a treat's coming. And so a service dog trainer actually told me to start with, and ironically, it's ironic that you're asking this question, because today I was at Petco and I bought a toy that kind of looks like a dumbbell, like a weight, like a 2-pound weight type thing. And she said to start with that. That's something like your dog can really hold in their mouth. And then only reward, like start with 1 second. And then you can, say take, and then you can do a hold cue, and then like 2 seconds, and then drop it, and then reward. So my other 2 dogs were so easy to train as far as picking stuff up and bringing it to me. But Jade, for some reason, like she'll just put it in her mouth and spit it out. Because it's like, oh, I picked it up, I'm going to spit it out. Where's my treat? So we are working on the same thing. So when I figure out how to do it with Jade, I'll let you know. But I did have another trainer tell me to use something bigger, like a dumbbell, like something that they can actually grab a hold of. So I bought one today. The other issue that my dog has is I will ask her to pick something up and she will pick it up now, but then she goes and lays down and thinks that she can chew on it. And that's not what we're doing. I want her to bring it to me and drop it in my hand. So, yeah, I've done it before. So with my other 2 dogs, I started with like a sticky note and just like teased them and said, get it, get it, get it, get it. And then as soon as they grabbed it in their mouth, I would click and treat. And then I would teach like a drop into my hand. And for some reason, like they were so much easier to teach. And Jade's really smart, but she is so smart that she's like, I'm just going to spit it out so I get a treat. And now I actually don't treat her if she just picks it up and spits it out. It's like, you have to pick it up, drop it in my hand, and then you get the treat. And then what I plan to do with her, hopefully it'll work, is try this bigger like toy that looks like a weight, and like have her pick it up, actually hold it 1 second, drop, click, treat, and then pick it up, hold it 2 seconds, drop it in my hand, click, treat. And so slowly build up. But if your dog picks it up and then immediately drops it, just say, oh, try again. And then let them know that that's not what you want. You want them to pick it up, hold it, and then start small. So it's kind of like stay, where we start with 5 seconds and then 7 seconds and 9 and 10. So you just have to keep building your duration. So, and I don't use toys only because I don't want them to think that they can pick something up and then go chew on it like they do their toys. So I usually have them pick up things that they're not going to want to chew on, although Jade loves to chew on pens. So that's why I got like the dumbbell thing. And it may not work because it was a bacon flavored dumbbell, but we're going to try it before I actually like buy a weight. So, and it's not that dogs don't like it being in their mouth. It's more that they spit it out because they're anticipating the treat if you're using treats. So it's like, oh, I picked it up, I'm going to spit it out so that I can get my treat. So that's where you work on increasing your duration. So hopefully that that answered your question. We can learn that together. So actually, a week from Saturday, Emily and I are doing a Zoom consult together to help her with her dog. So maybe while we're on Zoom, we can practice and see what works. I don't know if my dog will have it by then, but hopefully she will. Okay, Carrie from Ohio. Pretam, sorry if I'm not saying it right, New Jersey. Oh, he got our cordless phone when I was in the shower and must have dropped it and the battery came out. Yeah, so I have replaced 2 remotes so far from my dogs getting into stuff when I was gone. So I think it's because like the phone and like chargers and things are remotes and phones that has our scent on it. And so that's why they pick it up. And so, but yeah, I've replaced 2 chargers now. So I feel your pain. Actually, one time when I was gone, and these are dogs that have been left in the house before, just so you know that trainers have naughty dogs too. But I don't know what possessed them to do this, because I've been leaving these dogs in the house by themselves when I was gone before for a long time. I came home and they had into my training bag, chewed up my $300 GoPro, ate like 3 bags of treats, chewed up everything that was in there, and it was spread all over the living room. And I wanted to kill them. Of course, I couldn't, because when I walked through the door, they're like wagging their tail like, oh, Mom, look how much fun we had. Look what we did. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys like ruined my GoPro. So I get it. I've learned to put stuff up high. I kind of know what things my dogs are going to get into and what they're not. Mine are pretty good now. When I'm home, they don't get into stuff. But if I leave, 2 of my dogs have to be crated. There's only one that I trust that has total house access, in and, dog door in and out. The other 2 I don't trust to not get into stuff. So I've learned to like put stuff away. Like I'll set something down and be like, ooh, I probably shouldn't do that because they'll get into it. So I'll put it up somewhere where they can't get into it. Okay, Destiny from Florida. Okay, how do you help a puppy 3 months old not be so rough? Play fighting with our almost 6-year-old. We separate them. Any other tips? That's what I do. So a good example, well, I'll give you 2 examples. So in puppy class, if a dog starts playing too rough with another dog, I'll say, okay, time out. And I'll point to the 2 dogs, and the owners will just like grab their collar and say, time out. I mean, they're not in trouble. So we don't want to like yell at them or say, hey, knock it off. It's just like, okay, time out. And we take them, give them a 1-minute break, and then we let them go back in and play. If they go back in, they're fine. They're having fun. If they don't go back in, they're not having fun, and we don't make them go back in. So that's what we do in puppy class. With this dog that I have right now that I'm boarding and training, since he's deaf, he and Jade play really, really rough together. Like they play really rough. But if they get playing too rough, or he sometimes tries to hump Jade, but then if she corrects him, he can't hear it. So he can't hear the correction. And then I can tell, okay, this is getting over threshold. And so then I separate. I'm like, okay, let's take a break. And he can't hear me, but Jade can, and Jade knows to stop and take a break. And then I'll usually just grab him, and we'll do like a 1-minute break, and then I let him go back in and play, and then they usually start playing calmer. So doing the timeout is really helpful, because it just lets them decompress. There have been some puppy classes where the dogs, like some dogs play so rough that we have to do a timeout like every 5 to 10 seconds. But then they learn that if they play rough, they get a timeout. And if they play gentle, and I have taught Jade like a gentle, like if she starts playing too rough, I'll say, hey, gentle, easy. And then she knows to, oh, you can see her in the background if I move the right way. That's Jade back there. So, yeah, timeouts are really good. That's what I do for like 1 minute and then put them back in. Okay, I have a 5-month-old Weimaraner puppy that is jumping and biting a lot, especially during walks. So what I do for jumping and biting is, because I think the puppy's probably just like really excited, I'll stop walking. Like is the dog biting you or biting the leash? Because I'll just stop, like turn my back, ignore, wait till the dog is calm, and then we start walking again. There's one dog that will jump and like bite on the leash and want to play tug, and I'll just stop and I'll say, drop it. And he knows drop it. So he'll drop it, and then we'll start walking again. So I just don't engage and ignore, or I'll stop and ask the dog to sit and like do something like either watch me or touch, and then we start walking. So give the dog something else to do, and then, oh, hang on, Jade's chewing her poop bag holder. Jade, come here. You can't have that. Look at your bone. Sorry, I didn't want her to chew that up. Hey, look, you have a bone over there. Go get it. So, yeah, I will interrupt or just stop, ignore, and then give the dog something else to do. Like sit, watch me, touch, and then, or you can teach a settle cue. So like, calm down, and then we'll walk again. So try that. If he's biting you, you could just like, turn your back. I use hand targeting a lot to biting, because hand targeting has to be done with a closed mouth. So if your dog is like jumping, being obnoxious, I'll have him sit, hand target, whoops, wrong hand. This is backwards to me, so when I'm looking at it. So have the dog hand target because the mouth is closed. Well, I guess this is a tongue, but pretend like the tongue's not there. So mouth is closed, and then I reward that instead of the jumping and biting. Okay. Oh, I know a couple signs. Took that class. So I'm assuming you're talking about the sign language for the dog. So some of the signs I just made up. Oh, why is Adobe suddenly showing up? Some of the signs I just made up, and some of them I use like how I lure. So like I lure a sit. So like this is sit, this is down, this is the marker. So yes. And instead of like this is good, but I just do this for thank you, like good job, thank you for doing it. For potty, I just do the P. So I'm like potty, and then like, oh, good potty. So yeah, some of them I'm using the actual sign, but some of them I just kind of make up because I don't want it to be too hard for the owners to learn. So, oh, Destiny, you do boarding and day camp. Oh, wow. You must have a lot of patience too. Hey, maybe when I move to Idaho, I'll just come work with you, because the only reason that I have not moved to Oriana yet is because there would be absolutely no work. We drove around, and the closest even sign of life was a big cow farm. So I'm like, I would have to go milk cows for a living. That's the only work I would have there. But I don't think Meridian is that far, maybe an hour. So yeah, I might be hitting you up for a job when I move to Idaho. That could be fun. Okay, I have a 3-year-old rescue. I think we are exiting the honeymoon stage. He had nearly 0 behavior issues for the first month. Lately, he has taken to barking at other dogs while we were on leash. I try to proactively get my dog's attention, any other tactics to avoid barking at other dogs. Yeah, so I work with a dog that kind of does that same thing. Like he will pull towards them, and sometimes he will bark at them. So we have been practicing like sit and wait. And if you wait, then you get to go up and say hi. If you pull me, then I'm going to turn around and go the other way, and you're not going to get to say hi. So I like that you're doing look at me and sit. Another thing that you can do, and I've actually done it with this dog, is start from a distance. So any reactivity, whether it's aggressive or just friendly, you can do this with. So you start at a distance, and you just have your dog look at the other dog. And when your dog can just look and not bark, you click and treat. Look at the dog, click and treat. And then when your dog can do that, then you take one step closer. Like not 3. That's the mistake that I see a lot of people make. I'll say, okay, take one step closer, and they'll go 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that's not one step. So take one step closer, and then do it again. So it's like look at the dog, click treat. So 2 things happen. You're pairing like the other dog equals treats, but also you're teaching your dog just to look at them and not react, like not bark at them. Just look, hear the click. So I do use a clicker for this. You hear the click, and then the dog learns to disengage and look at you, be like, oh, I heard the clicker, where's my treat? And then eventually your dog will like look at a dog, disengage, look at you, and then I click and treat. And then I get closer to where the dog can then like slowly go up and meet another dog. Because some dogs, if a dog is like barking at them and pulling towards them, they could take that the wrong way, and the greeting may not go so well. But if you're doing the look at that, and you can probably Google engage, disengage. I've seen it like on the Facebook community a lot. It's called engage, disengage, and then you slowly get closer. But if you get to a point where you're this distance apart and your dog suddenly barks, then it's like, okay, let's go. And then you just turn and go the other way and increase distance. Because you always want to keep your dog under threshold and let him know that the calm behavior and being quiet is how you're going to get to meet other dogs. Barking and pulling is not going to get you to meet other dogs. In fact, we're going to turn around and go the other way. So, yeah, try that. I do lots of impulse control stuff with dogs like that. So sitting and waiting, and then do one step closer. And then it's like, okay, if you can go 3 steps without barking or pulling, then I'll let you go say hi. So stuff like that. So pre-MAC principle, where, you have to do something that you maybe don't want to do, like waiting, but it's going to lead to something you do want to do, which is to go say hi to the other dog. Yeah. So Destiny, I have to tell you something funny. Since I'm single now and old, I have like a little tree that my mom crocheted for me, and that's all I have. And our family like stopped doing presents a long time. I mean, I know if you have little kids, you can't really do that, but we just decided like we all have too much stuff, and so let's not do presents anymore. So I have this tree. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's probably like this big. My mom crocheted it. It's so cute, and it has like lights, and I put that on my table and plug it in. That's my tree. And because if I got a real tree, my dogs would probably just pee on it. They would want to eat everything underneath it. So, and my house is too small. So that's how I handle that. But if I had kids, yes, it would be much different. I have seen people like put up, in fact, I have some clients that put up like a baby gate type thing, like an X pen, and they put that in front of the tree so that the dog can't get to the presents or the tree, which I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Like just make a barrier so the dog can't get to it. Okay. Let's see. I have an 11-month-old Robbie who drags me every time we go outside, wondering what the best way to get him to stop. Okay, so first thing is, if you let your dog drag you and a dog gets from point A to point B from pulling, then that behavior is reinforced and it's going to work. So the dog that I was talking about earlier is 110 pounds, and he used to drag me just all over the place. So what I do is, number one, I put him on a freedom harness, so front clip harness, so that if he does start to pull, I grab the front part of the leash and I turn him towards me, or I turn the other way and I start walking circles, or I just walk the other way. And then when he's right by my side, I click and treat. And then if he goes in front of me, I turn and go again the other way. And we did this for a while, and now he has a really good heel. But if he starts to pull me anywhere, I stop. So he has a bad habit of wanting to like pull over to the snow to sniff the snow. Plus he likes to lay and roll in the snow. And if he pulls me, it's like, we're going this way. But if he walks nice for 10 to 20 steps, then I'll say, okay, now go sniff, now go play in the snow. This is your reward for not pulling me. You can go sniff in the snow. So I use that as a reinforcer sometimes. But to start, I was changing direction a lot. But the other thing I was also doing was, like, we would start one step at a time, and I would take a step, click and treat, take a step, click and treat. If he started to pull, go the other way. And then we did like then every 3 steps, every 5 steps. And now like we can go every like 30 steps and he's still healing, but I'll click and treat and just be like, oh, good boy. And then when we're healing, and we don't do a formal heel, it's more of a loose leash walk. But then every time he looks up and checks in with me and gives me eye contact, I click and treat. Because then he's not like pulling and focused on something else. He's walking by my side, he's giving me eye contact, and I click and treat for it. So I would first use different equipment. So like a front clip harness is going to help with the pulling. And then you want to make sure the pulling doesn't get reinforced. So you can do like the stop and go game, meaning tight leash means stop, loose leash means we go. Or you can change direction. So every time he starts to pull, you turn and go the other way. And then the treat method, like treat every step. And I actually, when I treat this dog, I drop it on the ground right in front of him, because then his nose is to the ground, he's sniffing for the treat, and it slows him down. And like I said, at first we were going like every step I drop a treat, and now we're up to where we can walk a lot longer. Without giving him treats as much. So you just have to start small. I also learned a circle method. And if you get on YouTube and type in circle method for dogs that pull or something, there will be a video that comes up. And what she does is, as soon as the dog starts to pull, like she starts doing big circles, and she continues to circle with the dog on the outside until the dog comes back into her and stops pulling, and then they go ahead again. And I've actually done that a few times with dogs, and it works. So you just start doing big circles, and the dogs get tired of just continually walking in a circle, so they eventually come into you, and then that makes the dog go forward again. I hope that helps. Let's see, my German Shepherd is 1, and when my girls dance, laugh, or yell, he sometimes jumps or tries to get between them. I mean, does he like jump on them? I mean, it's kind of hard without seeing it. Like, is he playing? It could be that he's being protective. So I'll give you an example. My nephew was trying to get one of my dogs to play, and this happened with 2 dogs that have like since passed away. So he was trying to get Jagger to play, and Jagger like just wouldn't engage. And so I said, get under a blanket and move around, and then he'll come and like try to get you under the blanket. So he was doing that and he was laughing and yelling. And my other dog thought that Jagger was like attacking him. And so she went over to go after Jagger. And luckily I caught her. But it could be like anytime you hear, and depending on how young your girls are, if they have like high-pitched voices, things like that, it can amp a dog up. So you could crate the dog when they're doing that, or you could teach like a go to your place. I actually would probably do Karen Overall's relaxation protocol for this. And you can Google that, but because that teaches a dog how to be calm on a bed or a mat with increasing distractions. So you start with like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then you clap your hands, turn around, knock on the door, but you continue to add in distractions. So you could continue. So then you could add in, like, you stay calm on your mat, and girls, you're going to dance, and I'm going to treat the dog for staying calm on the mat. You're going to laugh. I'm going to treat the dog for staying calm on a mat. So he learns a different behavior. So instead of jumping up and getting between them, he learns it's more reinforcing to lay on his bed and be calm, because he'll get rewarded for that. And then eventually he'll just learn to stay calm on his mat, and you won't have to treat every single time. That's what I would do. I have my cousin's little boy, when he comes over, my cousin's living with me right now, and his little boy comes over like twice a week, and he is like, he bounces off the walls, and he gets my dogs so riled up. And sometimes I have to just say, okay, calm down, take a break. And I will take my dogs and put them in a downstay or a go to your mat and tell them, like, calm down. I can't really tell my cousin's kid what to do because it's not my kid, even though it is my house. But then usually if I step in to calm the dogs down, then dad will step in to calm the kids down. But I mean, your girls aren't doing anything wrong. They're just dancing and laughing. But if the dog jumps up and tries to get between them, you can say, hey, let's go over here and do a downstay. Or, let's do a calm on your mat or something like that. That's what I would do. You could also, now that I think about it, you could desensitize him to that too. So again, like, have him down on a mat, have the girls dance like very slowly and treat for him staying calm on his mat, and then have them dance like more energetically, and then have them laugh like softly, treat, laugh a little bit louder, treat. When they stop laughing, the treats stop. So the dog learns, like, oh, when they laugh, I get treats when I'm calm. And then you can have them yell soft, reward for calm behavior when the dog hears the yell, and then continue to have them like yell a little bit louder. So it's the same way we do sound desensitization with puppies. We start soft. When they hear the sound, we treat. As soon as the sound stops, the treats stop. And then we raise the volume. So you could actually desensitize your dog to that. Slow the girls help. And start really small and like build up. So hopefully that'll give you some suggestions of things to do. Aries is 13 weeks. Yeah, that's how old the dog is that's at my house. Heaven help me. I had no idea what I was getting into, but so I've had 2 board and trains back to back, and the first one, they were going to Hawaii, and they did not tell me that the dog had separation anxiety. So that was a problem. And then this one just wanted to learn sign language, and they did not tell me that the dog was not potty trained. So that's a problem. I'm almost getting to the point where I don't want to do board and train anymore, or else I'm going to start charging a lot more to do it. Hello from New York. Thank you for joining us. Okay, this is a good question. How do I get my dog to stop barking at my cat? It's not aggressive, but because she wants to play. So my dogs will occasionally bark at the cat. They've learned that the cat rules, because if the dogs get too close, he will hiss at them. He's swatted at them before. And sometimes they'll bark, but I'll just interrupt and I'll say, hey, and I'll just have them like come to me, down, stay, something like that. You could actually do the same look at that I've talked about doing with other dogs. So even though it's not aggressive, sorry, I gotta find something. Even though it's not aggressive, you can have your dog, like have your cat on one side of the room. So like, here's your dog, here's your cat, only do it like far away. I just have a limited window. And have your dog just stay calm, look at the cat, click and treat. Look at the cat, click and treat. If the dog barks, then you're going to increase distance. So start at a distance to where the dog can just look at the cat and stay calm. And then when you can do that, then you go one step closer. Look at the cat, click treat. Look at the cat, click treat. And then go a step closer. And as long as he stays calm and just looks at the cat and doesn't react, he gets rewarded. If he barks or reacts, then you increase distance. And then I would also like teach a leave it. So if he starts barking at the cat, you can do a leave it. You could also do, like a go to your place, something like that. And your cat's probably nicer than mine, and your cat might play. My cat has no interest in playing with the dogs at all. So if my dogs bark, he just sits there like, yeah, I could take your eye out if I wanted. If they get too close, he'll swat and then they'll totally back off. So it kind of depends on your cat too. I mean, my dogs were barking at my cat today because he was close to their Kong. He had no interest in the Kong, but he was just close to the Kong and they wanted it, but they were too afraid to go up and get it because they knew they'd get smacked. So they were barking at the cat for that. So I just did a recall and just did a leave it, and they did. And then I went over and picked up their Kong from in front of the cat and gave it to them, and it was all good. So yeah, you can do like slow desensitization from a distance and slowly get closer. Or you can teach them something else, like go to your place. You can teach a quiet too. So I have taught my dogs a quiet cue. So like they bark, then I'll say quiet. And I wait for them to like take a breath, and then I click and treat the quiet so that they learn that quiet means not barking. So that works as well. Sorry, I have to take an Excedrin. I had to go to the chiropractor today and my back is killing me. So, and Tylenol doesn't work. Okay. Our puppy leaves teeth marks and scratches all over our adult dog's neck. Then whines, it gets frustrated, and the puppy doesn't take the hint. Yeah. So, I mean, if your adult dog corrects the puppy, that's totally fine. Like I let Maddie correct dogs because I know she's not going to hurt them. However, she's very, very patient, and sometimes, she's older and she just had a lump taken out, and she's got arthritis. So sometimes, I jump in and be her advocate, and I'm like, hey, you guys go play over here, or, leave her alone or something like that. And then I redirect them to do something else and leave the dog alone. Sometimes if the dogs are playing rough, like I'll crate Maddie just so, and you probably just have the 2 dogs. See, I have 3 and my cousin's is 4 and my board and train is 5. So they can still play, but if I think they're going to hurt Maddie, I will put her in, or I'll put her in a crate just to kind of keep her. So you could like put your adult dog, in another room or outside, and then do something with the puppy, like a flirt pole or a snuffle mat or something else that's going to wear the dog out, still give him exercise, still let him play. You could also do If there's a puppy class near you, like I just started doing puppy classes again. Even with COVID, we wear masks and there's only 4 allowed in the class. And we do some socialization at the end. And usually the other puppies are really good at correcting unwanted behavior. And I actually let Jade play because Jade is really patient and she's really good at correcting dogs that try to hump her or play too rough. So if you could find a puppy class or even a daycare, although at 13 weeks they might not take your dog yet. But like find dogs that are your dog's age and size that that the puppy can play with and get all that energy out and kind of be your older dog's advocate, because I have to do that too, just to, Maddie's my baby, and she's like so patient. And she's 70-pound pit bull, and I took a video today, in fact, that King the deaf dog and Jade were playing, and they were playing so rough, and they were playing right by Maddie, and she's just sitting there looking so regal. She's just sitting there, doesn't growl. They bump into her. She just had surgery. They bump into her. She just gets up and walks away, goes and sits somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, you are so gentle and so patient. I wish I had her patience. But yeah, she will correct if she has to, and she's never hurt a dog. But sometimes you need like another dog that can correct and let them know that that's too much, that's too hard. So, but yeah, if you need to be your adult dog's advocate, go ahead and do that and give the puppy a timeout, like 1 minute timeout, decompress. I've also taught like a gentle. So like when Jade tries to play with Maddie, I'll say, okay, you got to be gentle. Like she's old, you got to be gentle. And so Jade has actually learned to play more gentle with Maddie than she does Daphne, because Daphne's 3 and Daphne can take it and keep up with her. So yeah, I think the timeouts are a really good thing. Hi there from Austin, Texas. What are some ideas to get my 7-month-old puppy used to not jumping on non-dog people strangers? Okay, that is an excellent question, because I used to teach music lessons. I took a break just like a month and a half ago for the holidays and with COVID and everything. And I would have parents come to the house that don't like dogs, let alone pit bulls. And so usually I tell people, like, if my dog jumps, and I only have one dog that jumps right now, but I say, like, if Jade jumps, I want you to turn your back, like ignore her. But because I know they don't like dogs, I will teach an off. So if I can tell that Jade is getting ready to jump, I'll say, Jade, you sit. And when she sits, then I will reward her, because I don't expect non-dog people to, like, if they don't want to pet her, I'll say, if she's sitting, you can pet her and say hi. She's nice. She won't hurt you. Or, here, you can just give her a treat. But I will step in, and if she jumps, I'll say off, and then I'll have her sit. So you can actually teach a dog how to sit for greetings. The other thing, if you look up like the American Kennel Club, like Canine Good Citizen, the very first part of that test is your dog has to sit beside you while a stranger comes up and says, hi, can I pet your dog? And your dog has to sit there and can't move forward to see the person or jump or anything like that. So we usually practice doing a sit stay or a sit wait. I usually use wait, because wait means like wait a second and then you can say hi. But if it's somebody that doesn't like dogs, just do a sit stay. And then talk to a person, and your dog might not always get to say hi, because just like if your dog was a service dog and somebody came up and said, oh, can I pet your dog? You'd be like, no, she's working. But yeah, at 7 months old, they're still going to jump. So you can either say, just turn your back, or you can step in and teach your dog to sit, focus on you, like do a watch me, sit, and then reward your dog for sitting and not jumping. And the reward can come from you and not the person. Sometimes I will ask non-dog people, I'll say, is it okay if she just comes up and sniffs you? She just wants to say hi. And if they say no, then I do a leave it. And I just say, okay, leave it. We're going this way. And if they say, yeah, they can say hi. And some people are really nice about it. But I teach a sit for greeting, like a sit and a wait. So when I do sit and wait, I'll show you with him. So this is this is the person. So like the owners, so like you would be by your dog, here's a stranger, and you ask your dog to sit. And then if the stranger comes up and the dog moves towards them, you tell the person to back away. So the dog going towards the person makes the person go away. If they sit nicely, then you can give permission to pet. And then you can say, oh yeah, you can pet them. And then they sit nicely for petting. But yeah, for non-dog people, I usually just teach a sit, stay, leave it, something like that. How do I get my puppy to stay out of the dishwasher when I do the dishes? That's a great question, because I don't have a dishwasher. I do the dishes. But I did have a client once whose dog would come and bite and get really aggressive when he was trying to load the dishwasher. So what we did was we taught the dog a boundary. So like, this is your boundary, and you're going to sit, stay right here, and you're not going to go past that line. And then, so we started with a sit, stay, and then we would add a step back, add a step back, add a step back. And then I had him take one dish, put it in the dishwasher. I rewarded the dog. And then take another dish, put it in the dishwasher. I rewarded the dog. Or I had him toss a treat to the dog from a distance. But we basically taught a sit, stay from a certain place. And if the dog crossed the line to get closer to the dishwasher, we said, oh, try again, back up. And we put the dog back, so that coming up to the dishwasher was not going to be rewarding, but staying behind an imaginary line or a boundary, and staying there, that's what's going to get you treats, or rewards. Like, you can use throw the ball, you can use treats like praise, good dog, like whatever you want. So that's how we did it with this dog, and it worked. This was more, it was the weirdest thing is the husband would go to load the dishwasher, and the dog would just come up and get really aggressive and actually bite him. So we just taught a boundary, like, you don't cross that line and you'll get rewarded for staying back there. Okay, my border collie, 5 months, likes to bite at my arm. What is a good way to redirect? Okay, that's a great question. I'm looking at the question right next to it, right under it, and I have to laugh because my dog just did this very same thing about licking when we were out of my office right before I came in here, because there's 4 people out there talking. So I'll tell you what I did with Jade, but let me answer this one first. So with biting, I use, and I learned this from another brilliant trainer, what's called the 3 bite strike rule. So the first time your dog bites your arm, I just say, hey, and I redirect with a toy. It's like, oh, here, you can't chew on my arm, but here's a toy, you can chew on this. So give them a rope toy or something they can sink their teeth into. If the dog then drops the toy and goes back to bite your arm again, that's strike 2. And then you calmly pick up your dog with a toy and put him in a crate for 1 to 2 minutes, just to let him calm down, decompress. And then let him out. And if they go right back to biting your arm a 3rd time, they go, and you want to do it calmly, because you don't want, because the puppy's actually just doing what puppies do, which is bite. And at 5 months, he's probably starting to teeth, or get his adult teeth in. So that's why you calmly pick them up. You put a toy in there with them, so it's not a punishment to go in the crate. But the 3rd time, I actually cover the crate, and they get a long time out, like a nap. Like they probably need to take a nap. and that is to give you a break as well. So I am a huge proponent for crate training. I think it's great. I think sometimes you just need a break, especially from puppies, because they're a lot of work. So yeah, first time redirect, and I'll just say, hey, ouch, or yeah, I'll say like, ouch, here's your toy. Here, let's chew on this. And I'll even engage them with it, like get a rope toy and say, here, get it. Let's play with this. You can chew on this instead. And then strike 2, crate for 1 to 2 minutes. Strike 3, crate, cover the crate. They get a nap. So that's the way that I do it. Sometimes I will redirect if I think it's because the puppy is like just overstimulated and has a lot of energy. Sometimes I will redirect and just like, oh, nope, you're not going to chew on me, but let's do a snuffle mat. So I give them a snuffle mat because then it redirects their nose, their brain. It gives them something to do that's also going to tire them out because they're doing brain work. They're engaging their nose. They're having to sniff. And even after they get all the toys out of the snuffle mat, they're still going to sniff in there to make sure they got it all out. If you don't have one, you can use like a rug. You can use grass. Anything where I just take a handful of treats and say, go hunt. And I throw them and let the dog just go sniff. But yeah, I do that. I do it with a snuffle mat as well. Okay. My puppy is an extreme licker. Okay, let me introduce you to the extreme licker. That would be her. I used to let her lick me, but she has started. So I have a really old cat that has all these medical issues. And so he has diarrhea and throws up a lot. And if I don't catch it fast enough, she eats it. So she does not get to lick my face anymore. And this dog will French kiss you if you. So she loves to be in people's lap and she loves to lick people's faces. And so a lot of people, like everybody out there, they're all dog lovers, but they also know that she eats cat vomit. So if she starts to lick, I'll just say, hey, Jade, and then I redirect her to do something else. So I've taught her lap. So I've taught her to like lay down in somebody's lap, and that puts her in a down position on their lap and unable to get to their face. So when she starts to lick go for their face, then I'll just say, hey, Jade, like no kisses, lap. And then she'll lay down in their lap and then they can pet her and then, she's fine. So that's one thing you can do. I've heard of people saying, teaching like kiss on command. Like she will lick me if I say, Jade, give me a kiss, like she will. And so then I teach like no kiss, and so that she learns both. But then if you say like no kiss, as soon as your dog stops licking, you've got to be ready to like mark and treat. So they learn what no kiss means. It's like as soon as they stop, it's like click, treat, or yes, treat. And so that they learn what no kiss means. And so, yeah, and you can also teach like a down or a settle by their feet, like down stay by their feet, or like just lay in their lap, and reward things, anything other than licking. So if the dog is sitting, you can reward. If the dog's laying down, you can reward. If the dog's on their lap, you can reward. If the dog starts licking, it's like, let's, redirect, do something else. You could do like hand targeting because the dog's mouth has to be closed. So it's like, oh, let's not lick here. Let's hand target and I'll reward you for that. So try that. I laughed because that happened like literally an hour ago. She was jumping on everybody's lap trying to like lick their face. They all just have facials. So they have like oils and stuff on their face. And I guess she thought it smelled good. Okay, let's see. Oh, Emily, I just saw your thing. Yes, actually, I do think it's a Kiko pup. video. It might be. Actually, I don't know. The girl, I know that the Kiko Pup girl, I can find it again. I can find it and send it to you. But Kiko Pup does have some really good videos, and it might be one of hers. But she does, if you're talking about how to hold something in their mouth, there is a video that the girl says to use sorry, I will get back to your question. That teaches to like use a weight or something to have them hold it. So, yeah, that might be the one. Okay, my puppy used to go out and do his business on his own. The last few months, he will not go out alone. He will wait by the door until someone goes out with him. How can we fix this? We've tried making a big deal of it and giving him treats. So I'm wondering if something bad or scary happened one time when he was out. Oh, but this was well, it doesn't matter if it's night or day. You know, I had a dog that did this for a while. Like, she would sit by the door, and we have a dog door, and she wouldn't go out. Like, she wouldn't go out unless I went out with her. And it was kind of a phase, and then she just stopped doing it. Like, I don't really remember what I did. I did go out with her a few times, but actually, I didn't make a big deal about it because if you go out with him, if you go out with him and then make a big deal about it, then it's like, oh, when mom or dad goes out potty with me, it's a big deal. I get lots of praise. I get a treat. So if she goes out by herself and then comes back in, then I make a big deal about it and give her a treat and be like, oh my gosh, you're so brave. You just did it by yourself. Here's a treat. If I go out with her, I just stand there, and when she's done, I'll say, okay, let's go back in. And we go back in, and it's pretty boring. But I would be interested to know why he won't go out if like he heard a sound that scared him, or if there was something that scared him, or some reason why he now doesn't want to go out by himself. If there's anything you can think of, that will help me answer your question. But for a little bit, just go out with him, and then you can say, oh, good potty. Okay, let's go back in. But if he does go out by himself, then make a big deal about that and give him a treat, but not if you go with him. Because I'm just kind of, and I don't know if your situation's the same, but like the board and train that I have can actually fit through my fence. So when I send him out to go potty, I actually put a long cable on, and I had rolled it up and laid it by the door. And Daphne is the kind of dog that is afraid of her own shadow, and she wouldn't go out the dog door. And I couldn't figure out, and she's my outdoor girl. Like, she loves to be outside, and she would sit by the door, but she wouldn't go out. And so finally, I looked out and I realized that it's because the cables were on the steps, and it scared her. Like, she wasn't used to that. She was afraid to go through the dog door because there were cables on the step. As soon as I moved the cables off the step onto the grass, she would go in and out the dog door. So if you can look at your environment and see if you can figure out, like, has something changed or why your dog won't go out by himself, and see if you can figure that out, because then that will help to fix it. Let's see. Let me try and scroll up. It always takes this thing a minute to scroll up. I'm sure it's operator, but Julie, we just got a flirt pole. Good job. I love flirt poles. Can I tie any toy to it? Yes. Yeah, I will sometimes tie squeaky toys to the end, because then I can squeak them. So like, I'll squeak it before I throw it out and have them chase it. And then when they grab it, because I let the dog grab it, and then it squeaks and squeaks, and then we play tug and stuff with it. So yes, I will often tie squeaky toys to the end just to make it funner for the dog. But yeah, you can tie rope toys, you can tie squeaky toys. In fact, when I was working at the rescue, the flirt pole I used had a squeaky toy on the end, and one of the dogs actually got a hold of the squeaker and pulled it out. So I had to replace it with a different one. So yeah, you can actually put anything on the end of it. But yeah, good job, because I think flirt poles they're great, and especially for like when it's really cold out or bad weather. Um, there is a flirt pole on Amazon that has the stuffed animal, and that's actually the one that I have. However, I really like the Pupford flirt poles that they came out with, just because I carry mine in my car, and it's so big and long, it takes up like the whole length of the back seat. And it's kind of a pain, like to carry in and stuff like that. It works great, but when I saw the ones that Pupford had done that like are collapsible, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can fit that in my backpack. And then when I get in, I can just like pull it out. So I have to put a plug in for their flirt poles. I don't get commission or paid or anything to say that. I'm just saying, for somebody that uses a lot of equipment, I really like that, because it's easier to pack around for me, because I go like into people's homes and stuff. So just for me, it's easier. But I think that you can get replacement toys for even the Amazon ones. And in fact, I know you can, because I had to do that for my other flirt pole because the squeaker came out of the toy. So I'm sure that you could take one of their squeakers and put it on the end of a Pupford flirt pole. So yes. Okay. When my dog sees other dogs on walks, she stares, pulls towards them, whines. I've been asking for eye contact and rewarding that to work through it. Any advice? Okay, and I'm going to answer the next question at the same time, because the answer is going to kind of be the same. Can I get barking advice and reactive dog tips? So reactivity is just reacting to stimulus. So, and sometimes staring, pulling, whining can be anxiety. Especially so I walk a couple dogs that as soon as they see a dog, they get hyper focused, they'll whine, they'll pull. One just wants to say hi, the other one doesn't. The other dog that I work with is not good with other dogs. They have the same behavior. They stare, they pull, they whine. One gets close, one will say hi and want to play, the other one will fight. So I work through it the same way. When we walk, as soon as the dog starts to pull, I turn and go the other way. And I just say, let's go. Because I don't ever want a dog to pull me towards another dog. Even if it is just to say hi, it's bad manners. And it's no impulse control. So if the dog pulls, I turn and go the other way. But I also then teach a come front, which means like come sit. So like if I'm walking with my dog right here, this is backwards, so I keep moving the wrong way. And my dog starts to pull, I'll say come front, and I'll take a few steps back, bring my dog in towards me, have him sit and look at me, and I will click and treat. And then when the dog's calm, focusing on me, then we start walking again. If he starts pulling, first I might just say his name and just say like, watch me, click treat, like watch me, click treat. So the one dog that I work with, he's actually gotten really well, they both have. They've gotten better at like just passing dogs and focusing on me, and they get a treat. So if they pass by and focus on me, they get a treat. If they get to the point where they're too hyper focused and they're whining or pulling, then I either do a come front. If they won't do that, I turn and go the other way. And I just get them out of that situation, because I always want to keep them under threshold. I don't want to take the chance of them going over threshold. If your dog's like nice and just wants to say hi, then you can do a sit and a wait. And like, if you're calm, then you can go over and say hi. But if you're going to pull me over there, then you don't get to go say hi. So I'm just working on that, like, impulse control. And I would do the same thing for the reactive dog. I would probably, well, even for both of them, then when I can, before the dog starts to whine and pull, I will do the look at that. So the engage, disengage. So I was walking one of these dogs one day, and we saw two loose dogs out in the road, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if they're nice. I don't see any people. Would rather not break up a 3-dog fight, just in case. I don't know those other 2 dogs. I know the dog that I'm with is nice, but these other 2 were barking at us. But it was far enough away that I chose to stop and do the look at that. So I just had Max sit, and I said, Max, look at the dog, click treat. Because Max will pull and get focused, and he'll want to go say hi. He's not aggressive. But I just used it as a training opportunity, and we said, look at the dog, click treat. Look, click treat. And eventually he would look at the dog, look at me, I would click treat. Then we would get one step closer, do the same thing. We did that until I wasn't comfortable with the other dog's body language and the fact that they were like coming at us, stiff body language, barking. So at that point I chose to say, okay, Max, let's go. We're going to go the other way. And so we just went the other way. So yeah, the goal is to always keep your dog under threshold. So if you have to turn and increase distance, you can. You can pull your dog in to face you and give treats. So we practiced that today with another dog in a busy area, passing by like other people, mainly tourists. And so we would step offside, do come front, focus on me, get treats while people pass, and then we would walk on again. If he started to pull towards a person to say hi, then we would just turn and go the other way. And he didn't get to say hi. So if he pulls and whines, he does not get to say hi. So it's calm behavior. Just looking at a dog is what's going to get you to go forward. Now for the dog that's barking advice and reactive. Are you reactive? Like reactive as if I get close, I'm going to attack, or just react. So I had a dog that was reactive on leash, but if I took him off leash, he could go meet a dog fine, because some dogs are just leash reactive because they feel more constricted, and we take away their flight option. So they feel like, okay, I don't know about this dog. I feel like, this is unfamiliar. So I'm going to react, and I can't flee. So I'm going to bark and react. But you can't do that with all dogs. Like one of the dogs I was working with today, if I let him off leash to go say hi, it would be an all-out dog fight. So you have to know your dog. So if your dog is reactive, like not in a good way, like anxious, would snap at another dog, then I would also add into that the relaxation program. So teaching your dog how to be calm with increasing distractions. And then doing the look at that, because that gives the dog something else to do. So instead of barking and reacting, I want you to just notice the dog, and I'm going to click and treat. And then eventually when the dog hears the click, they learn to disengage and look away and look at you, because it's like, oh, I just heard the clicker, where's my treat? And then they learn to just like look at the dog, look at you. So I would start doing those things. And if your dog is barking and reacting and you can't get your dog's attention and your dog won't look at you, then it's time to just say, let's go, and you turn and go the other way. Because again, you want to keep your dog like under threshold all the time. Okay, I hope that helped. Let's see. Why does pup run around with a treat in his mouth and whine like cry and looks like he wants to hide it? I I mean, it could be anxiety. It could be that he's just playing with it. Sometimes dogs will run around and then hide their treats and then go back and get them later. I have seen dogs do that. So it could be an anxiety thing. I'd almost have to see a video to see like what the dog looks like so I can see the body language. It could be like, oh my gosh, this is my treat and I don't want anybody to take it. So I'm going to run around and see where I can bury it. And then if he does hide it, then, most likely he's going to go back and get it later. So yeah, it's hard to say. It could be just a play thing. Like sometimes when I give my dogs like new toys, they'll play, like they'll throw them up, they'll run around with them, play with them, get super excited, and then they just get bored with it. But it could be an anxiety thing, like, oh my gosh, this is mine and I don't want anybody to take it, and so I'm going to hide it type thing. How can you train a dog to ask for permission to get on the bed that has already been allowed on? That's a good question. So I have one dog that it's really funny because she's allowed on the bed, but she will sit there and she has this really low growl, and she'll like, I'm awake, but I want her to use the stairs. She's got stairs to get onto the bed, but she waits until I say, okay, Maddie, come on, you can get on. And then she'll get on. What I would do is teach a sit and a wait. So, but this isn't going to work if you're asleep. And why is he jumping on and off? Is it because my dogs will jump off to go out and go potty and then come back in and jump back on, but then they go right back to sleep. So I'm not sure about that. I'm sure my dogs step all over me when they come back, but I sleep through it. But to ask permission to get on the bed, I teach like a sit and a wait. And so if they start to jump on before I give them permission, I'll say, try again. And then I'll have them sit and wait. And usually I teach a wait cue first. So I've already taught wait for a treat, wait for your food, wait at the door. And then I'll do the wait at the bed. So it's like wait. And then I'll say, yes, okay, come on, get on. And then I give them permission to get on. And I do the same thing with like furniture. It's like sit, and then I will give you permission to get up. If he's jumping on and off all night and steps all over you and you're not sleeping, I would probably teach your dog to sleep on a dog bed or crate the dog at night so that you can get sleep. I've actually had to do that a few times as well. Just like crate the dog at night so you can get some sleep. Okay, if you want to give me more information about like why he jumps on and off, because if you train him to ask for permission to get on the bed, so you want him to not jump unless you say he can get on, so that if you're asleep he doesn't get on. That makes sense. I would still teach a sit and a wait, or you could even do stay. So, because stay is longer for me. Wait is like, wait a second and then you can get on, but you don't want the dog to think, okay, I waited a second and they're asleep, so I'm going to jump on. So you could have like I have a cue to get my dog in the car and I say load up. And so she knows when I say load up, she's got to jump up into her crate. So you could teach a similar cue, like, okay, go to bed, like sit and wait. And then it's like, okay, go to bed. And so then she gets permission to go to bed on cue. And so if he doesn't hear that cue, you can teach also like a go to your bed, go to your mat, and sleep there if I don't give you permission to get on the couch. So it might be a little harder since the dog's already been allowed on the bed, because now he thinks it's okay just to jump up and get on the bed. But I would start with a sit and a wait, and then give a cue. And if you don't give the cue, then just say, oh, sorry, I didn't give you permission. And then I use a lot of hand targeting to get animals off beds, off furniture, off things like that. And then teach like a go to your bed and lay down, so that they go somewhere else. Okay, my dog was fine at the dog park. Now he occasionally gets aggressive and tries to attack other dogs. How do I stop this? I would actually probably stop taking your dog to the dog park, because if your dog is getting aggressive and attacking other dogs, he's got anxiety, he's not having fun. So why take him if he's not having fun? Dogs go to dog parks to like socialize, get exercise, things like that. But if he's attacking other dogs, when we have behavioral issues like aggression, reactivity, there's always like an underlying kind of anxiety to that. And so, I mean, if I had a dog that ever attacked another dog at the dog park, they wouldn't go back, because it's not a good place. The other thing too is, I know a lot of people go to dog parks that have dogs there that shouldn't be there. And so, sometimes it might be the other dog that's putting off this weird energy. Some dogs are bullies. And then if your dog has a bad experience at the dog park, then when he goes back to the dog park, then he's kind of on the defense and is ready and will like attack other dogs. So my recommendation would be find something else, like go hiking, if there's other dogs that he plays with and gets along with, I would just set up play dates and let him play with his friends. I actually had a trainer explain to me once why she actually doesn't do puppy playtime at the end of her puppy classes. And it's because, and her logic made sense. She says, when I was raising kids, I didn't force my kids to play with every kid on the block. I let them like pick which friends they wanted to have. They played with their friends, and that was good. And it kind of made sense. I still do puppy socialization in my classes, but my classes are small. They're like 4 people. And I think it's good for them to kind of, especially with COVID, where people are kind of afraid to get out and do play dates. But if your dog has other friends that he can play with, I would set up play dates and let him play that way and have a good experience. If he's attacking other dogs, like I said, it could be the other dog and the energy they're putting off. But every time your dog attacks another dog, he's getting some kind of reinforcement for that, whether he wants them to go away, whatever. But that behavior is going to continue because he's getting reinforced for that. So honestly, you probably aren't going to like my answer, but I would stop going to the dog park. If you do want your dog to be in social things like that, and if he's good most of the time, you might also try doggy daycare, just because if they do it right, they're supposed to like monitor and, step in and interrupt any, bad behavior before it happens. So that way somebody can watch, and if your dog starts to get over threshold or starts to look like he's going to go after another dog, like they can step in and separate. So he could still play. But again, if he's going after dogs even at daycare, then it's too much. And it depends on the dog park and the daycare and how many dogs there are. Sometimes it's just too overstimulating for dogs. Like I have one dog that is so good with other dogs, but she can only play with like 2 or 3 at a time. If I put her in a big play group, she loses her mind. Like she feels like they're all ganging up on her, and she doesn't play well. So I've just stopped doing it. She doesn't go to puppy classes anymore. She has play dates with the board and trains I bring home. She's great with them. She plays with her sisters. She's great with every dog I introduce her to, but I don't put her in a situation where she has to play with more than 3 dogs at once, because I know she can't handle it. So that's kind of my advice. Let's see, Emily, I always use take it and then hold. Is that confusing? No, I do take it. So I tell her to take it, and now I'm trying to teach her hold it and then drop it into my hand. So yeah, no, not confusing at all. I do the same thing. Oh, okay. So it only happens when he's playing with the dog. He doesn't just go up to them and attack. He's also just snarling, not biting. So some dogs are very vocal when they play. So if you saw Jade play, you would think, oh my gosh, her dog's aggressive. But she's not. That's just how she plays. And it depends on the other dog. If the other dog is really rough, then she gets very vocal. She was playing with 2 small dogs today and was very gentle, didn't snarl, nothing. But she does snarl when she's playing, but it's her play style. However, I can tell when it's starting to get a little bit too rough, and playing can go from play to fight really quick. It's like 2 brothers who were wrestling and like kind of hitting each other in play, but then all of a sudden one hits the other one too hard, and then it's like, oh, hey, that wasn't playing, that hurt. And then the next thing you know, they're fighting for real. Same thing can happen with dogs. They can play. They get too wound up, and then it turns into a fight. Or it turns into like one snarling or things like that. I always step in and I'll say, okay, timeout. We're going to do a timeout. Because that means if your dog is starting to snarl, and probably it could eventually carry over into a dog fight. So if he's snarling, I would give him a timeout and just, say, okay, come on, we're going to do a timeout, and let him decompress for a minute or 2, and then let him go back in. So probably what's happening is he's playing, but he's getting too overstimulated or playing too rough. So when dogs start to play really rough, then it can definitely escalate. And like with Jade and the dog that I have at home right now, I can tell, like, they play rough and they're very vocal, but then the tone changes, and I can tell when it's time to, okay, we're done, we're taking a break. Now the deaf dog can't hear me do that, but Jade can, and Jade knows what take a break means. So sometimes I'll just grab her collar, step in between them, clap my hands, just say, take a break, and then let him decompress. So that's probably what's going on. If he's just snarling and not biting, he's probably just getting too over threshold. So I would just separate, do a timeout, let him decompress, and then let him go back in and see if he wants to go back in and play. Okay, Cindy, it's a lot of him getting into things he's not supposed to. He's constantly looking for the things he knows he should not. Has tons of toys and shoes, and I mix it up. So I'd have to go back up and look. I can't remember how old you said your dog was. I think 6 months. So dogs don't necessarily know what they're not supposed to have. Like, how do they know that they're not to have it? I mean, I've said leave it enough with the remote that now they don't get it. But if I left and they were bored, I'm not 100% sure that they wouldn't take and chew up the remote again. Basically, all you can do is when he gets into something he's not supposed to, redirect him and show him what he can have. And it's good that you're mixing up your toys and your chews so that it doesn't get boring for the dog. You can also redirect to a snuffle mat. You can throw treats outside and do a go hunt. So like if he's searching for things, because dogs are natural foragers. So if he's like looking for things to do and get into, Instead, take a handful of treats and throw him outside and have him go hunt for them. Engage his nose, engage his brain. You can go lay tracks in your backyard and like do treats every so often and have him learn to like, track, and just give him something to do with his nose. Or do the snuffle mat, or treat dispensing toys, like something he's got to roll around, figure out how to get the treat out of. So something else that's going to engage his brain, give him something to do instead of getting into things that he's not supposed to. The other thing that I finally did yesterday, for part of the same reason, because this puppy gets into stuff he's not supposed to have, but he also keeps peeing on the floor, is I finally started tethering him to me. So, and it's like a 15-foot tether, so he still has freedom. He can still walk around the house and do stuff, but he can't get into stuff, and I can catch him before he starts to have an accident. So that way, if your dog is like looking for stuff and starting to get into stuff, you can interrupt and say, hey, leave it. Here, let's do this instead. Here, you can have this. Maybe do some stuffed Kong, frozen. So we use tiny like Dixie cups, like the little ones. We'd fill them with peanut butter, and sometimes pumpkin. And then we'd take a dog bone and just stick it in and then put it in the freezer. So the dog had like a frozen popsicle. And they would tear through the Dixie cup. No dog ever ate the Dixie cup, but then they like licked the frozen pumpkin or peanut butter on the inside, and then there was a bone on there as well. And they loved that. So, you could try something like that that's going to keep him busy for a while because it's frozen, so he's going to have to lick it. Okay, it's 7:30. So let's do the drawing. And Cindy wants my cell too. That's why I don't leave my cell phone out where my dogs can get it, because I don't trust them not to. Like, so far they haven't got my cell phone. And mine are pretty good when I'm there and supervising. It's when I leave that I don't trust them. Okay, let's do the drawing. And then I'll go back and answer this. But then if somebody wants to go, they can. And then I'll stay on for like another half hour and answer a few more questions. These are also really good to give toys because they love the crunch. Just woke Jade up. They love the crunch. You can also toss like some treats and kibble in here. Put the lid back on, poke some holes with a knife or a fork, and give it to the dog. So they can scrunch it. They can try to figure out how to get the treats out. So make sure your hole's big enough for just one treat to come out. So with this, your dog thinks, oh, I got something out of the garbage. I got a water bottle. And there's treats in there, and I can they love to chew on these things for some reason. I'm going to give this to Jade, so sorry if it's noisy. But that might be something that you could do too for the dog that's always getting into something. Give them something like this. It's cheap. You're going to throw it away anyway, recycle it. You can recycle it after they've chewed it. They'll chew it, try to get the treats out, roll it around, flip it around, try to get the treats out. And it will wear them out too. So here, Jade, you want the bottle? She usually doesn't eat bottles, so I don't know if she'll take it or not. Okay. Let's see. I need to put all these in a thing. Okay, tonight's winner is Julie Kaplan from New York. So congratulations, Julie. You can, she is eating the thing. It's actually kind of loud. I'm going to have to take it away. So Julie, if you could, hey, here, bring it here. Bring it here. It's too loud. So Julie, if you could email Pupford at hello@pupford.com and let them know what kind of training treats you want. I will email them as well. And then they will send you a free bag of training treats. Hang on, I'm going to grab this bottle because it's way too loud. I know, it's too loud. Where's your bone? Here, let's play with your bone instead, okay? Here, let's play with this. We'll get that. You can have this later. And that's what I do when I need to trade. If I don't want him to have something, I'll just take it away and say, here, let's do this instead. And I just gave her a bone. Okay, my 8-month-old retriever is still mouthing and nipping. It's really frustrating, especially because she mostly goes after my husband's hands. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the 3-strike bite rule, or 3-bite strike rule, whatever you want to call it again. If a dog is mouthy and nippy, the first time I'll just say, and then redirect and say, here, you can't chew on me, but chew on a toy. The second time, if they drop the toy and go back to being mouthy, then you calmly put them in a crate with a toy, and they get a 1 to 2 minute timeout. When you let them out after 1 to 2 minutes, that's supposed to calm them down, and a lot of times it does. If they bite again a third time, then they go back in the crate, cover the crate, they get a long timeout for a nap, and a break for you. You can also redirect to hand targeting. Sometimes I'll have them hand target because they do that with a closed mouth. So it's instead of mouthing and nipping, I want you to hand target or chew on a toy. And if you still insist on chewing on me, then you're going to go in your crate with a toy. And it's kind of like the negative punishment thing. It's okay, we go away because we don't want this behavior, and you don't get access to us anymore. So try that. Oh, yeah, but he's never left out for more than 15 minutes. If I go upstairs, sort of test him, I come down, all couch pillows are on the floor. Yeah, I would probably start to tether him to you so that he can't practice that bad behavior, and start teaching him what you do want him to do, and then start testing him. But I would start with 1 minute, and then go up to 5 minutes, and then work your way up, so that he doesn't have the chance to pull all the couch pillows on the floor. I actually have a couch cover for dogs. So my couch pillows are covered. They couldn't take them off if they wanted to because there's a cover on it. I mean, that might be an option as well. Oh, let's see. My puppy barks at the house phone when it rings. Okay, that's a good... That's actually a good question. So what I would do is sound desensitization. You can use YouTube for tons of things. There's apps that you can get for your phone with different, I've got one that has doorbells, door knocking, things like that. But if you YouTube phone ringing, I mean, it's amazing what YouTube has. So I would start with it really slow. In fact, let me just show you how to do this, because I think this app is on my phone. And I apologize, you guys might not be able to hear it. I gotta find it. Okay, so I don't have a phone on this one, but I do have door knocking. So let's do door knocking. So I'm going to start at a low volume. So at the low volume, you might not be able to hear this. Start at a low volume and starts to hear it. I want you to treat, 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 treat. And when the ring stops, the treat stop. Okay, so yeah, you can't. Oops. Okay, so I couldn't even hear that. So I'm going to turn it up just 1 notch. So on my phone, I'm just going up 1 notch. Well, it's probably because I have it on mute. That would help. So I could barely hear that. You guys might not have been able to hear that. But as soon as your dog hears the knock, it's like treat, 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 knock, stops, treat, stop. And then as long as your dog stays calm, then you turn it up again. I'm going to speed up the process and turn it up quite a bit more. So the whole time you hear the knocking or the ringing, you're going to treat, 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 treat. Now, if your dog starts to bark, then you back up on the sound and lower them so that you get your dog used to it very slowly, very gradually. If you have somebody that can help you, you can say, oh, well, let's see, with your house phone, you can't really control the volume. So I would see if you can get an app or something, or you know what, you could record your house phone, like record it, start with a soft volume and then slowly increase the volume until it's as loud as your phone usually rings. So it kind of desensitizes your dog to the ring, and as long as they're calm, they get treats. And then they just get used to it, and then it won't bother them anymore. So like my ringtone is the Who Let Your Dogs Out, and then there's barking. And my dogs used to bark at that because they'd hear dogs barking. And now they're so used to hearing that they're just sensitized to it. So it's just like, oh, it's just mom's phone. It's not a big deal. Because I did that. I would just play it, treat, make it louder, louder until it was as loud as my phone can ring. And now they've heard it so much, I don't even have to give them treats because they're just like, they don't care. So try that. Start soft, get loud, get louder. We have a first-time user. So for you first-time user or first-time joining, welcome. You won't do anything wrong that I haven't done. Usually every week I have technical issues, everything else. So if you join again, please put your name, because when I see your question, it just says Facebook user. So put like, I'm Tom Jones from New York, or I'm Lori Smith from Canada, or whatever, because then I can enter you into the drawing and there's a chance to win a free bag of Pup for Training treats. And yeah, for you guys that miss them, I do these every Wednesday night from 6 p.m. to about 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So every Wednesday night we're here. Sometimes if I have time, I'll post a reminder in the Facebook group, but I don't always have time, and sometimes I don't remember. But yeah, we're here every Wednesday night. Okay, I was just wondering, how do you stop resource guarding? We have a Husky Shepherd mix we rescued who has over time started to guard his toys and crate more and more. That is a really good question. So what I do with toys is I teach trades. So to teach a trade, you have to offer the dog something of equal or higher value. So if your dog has a toy, I would come up another toy, like let's say this is another toy, and I would offer this and say, like, drop it. And as soon as your dog drops the toy, I give him the new toy. And then when I take his toy, then I'm going to trade back. And then I'm going to say, oh, look, now I'll give you this back, drop it. And he drops it and he gets this back. So I'll practice trades because that's my ringtone. Sorry. When I was doing your sound thing, I forgot to put my phone back on mute. Okay, so I teach trades because to the dog, it's like, okay, I give this up, I get something better, but then I get my original item back. It's kind of like, if I've used this now before and you've already heard it, some of the people that have been here every week probably already know this, but it's like if you lend somebody your car and then when you get it back, they have it totally filled up with gas and totally detailed. Then you're like, oh, heck yeah, you can take my car. Take it whenever you want. It comes back to me better. So to the dog, it's like, oh, I get something better, and then I still get my original thing back. So we do trades. And I've had to do that with Jade because she used to resource guard. And now, just before I started this, a puppy came up and took her bone and she didn't even care. So, because, she also knows, oh, there's other bones over there. I can just go get another one. But we've done trades. So I would teach trades. You can also, if you can't get close enough to do trades yet, because and it depends on the distance that you can be away from your dog that's guarding. So to back up a step, you could even do things like if he has a toy or if he's in his crate, just walk by from a distance and toss treats. So that it's like, oh, when I have a toy or I'm in my crate, like good things happen when people walk by or when people get close. But you want to start at a distance far enough away that your dog doesn't growl or lunge or try to bite you. So you start from a distance and then get closer until, like, if I have a resource guarder, like with Jade's bowl, like I would just walk by and drop a piece of hot dog in her bowl and walk on. So it's like, oh, when mom walks by my bowl, I get hot dog. So mom, you can walk by my bowl anytime you want. Same thing with the crate. It's like, when you walk by my crate, I get a piece of chocolate. So good things have to happen and they're around those items. But again, you want it to be safe. If he lunges, snarls, like tries to bite, I would do it with the muzzle on. So condition your dog to a muzzle, put the muzzle on, and then give him the toy or the crate so that then you can still do it. I use like the Baskerville. I like the Baskerville muzzle because dogs can still eat, drink, pant, take treats, whatever. And so that will allow you to, like, if he does like lunge out or try to bite, he can't bite you. But the object is to not let him get to that point. Start at a distance to where you can just walk by and toss it. He stays calm. Do that like several times and then go a little bit closer, toss, go a little bit closer, and just like walk by, toss him treats when he has his toy or he's in his crate. And then when you can get a little bit closer, then start to do trades. Another thing that you can do, and I actually had to do this with a pit bull at the rescue. He guarded really bad and he tried to bite several staff members. So I actually tethered him. I had an eye bolt put into the wall and I tethered him to the eye bolt. And then I sat in front of him at the end of his leash so that if he did try to lunge, he couldn't get to me. He couldn't get me. And then I gave him like, I don't know what we used. I'll just say Nylabone. I gave him a Nylabone, or let's say pig's ear. So I gave him pig's ear, and then I showed him another pig's ear or something better, like a yak chew, and I would say, Rudy, drop it, and as click, give him the new item. When he was chewing that, I would take the pig's ear. And then I would offer him the pig's ear back. I'm like, oh, look, here's your pig's ear back. Drop it. And then when he would drop the yak chew, click, here's your pig's ear. And then I would pick up the yak chew. And we just did trades to where he got used to being like, oh, I get this, but I get this back, and we're just going to trade, and it's going to be no big deal. And then sometimes, I'd get to the point where I would give him the pig's ear and just let him have it and not give the yak chew back. Just so if he picks up something he's not supposed to have and I trade him for a treat, then he doesn't always think he's going to get this back. And it really helped him. So you can do the thing that with the crate too. It's like good things happen when people walk by my crate. I get cheese thrown at me. I get hot dogs thrown at me. Okay. Let's see. Mine would do every now and then, but never to this degree. Oh, are you talking about the dog at the dog park where it's getting like worse? If any behavior ever gets worse in a dog park, I stop going to dog parks. There are some dogs that can have one or two doggy friends and that's it. And it's kind of like, people. There's some people, like I'll just use myself an example. My mom is super social and she loves to socialize. She likes to go out and do stuff. And I'm more of a, like have a handful of friends. That's who I like to hang out with. But if you took me to a big party, I'd probably have a meltdown. So dogs are the same way. Not all dogs are meant for dog parks. And it's probably overstimulating and too much anxiety, and so it's not fun for them. So if it's not fun for them, why take them? Okay, let me get down here a little bit. Hi from Denise, Philadelphia. Thanks for joining. Oh, just so that you guys know, I usually try to do the drawing between 7 and 7:30 so that those people that are like on Eastern time can go to bed if they want. They don't have to stay for the drawing if they don't want to hear the rest. So, and actually, I'm hearing that it is them showing dominance from maturing and not being neutered. So dominance is a term that's often used wrong. Instead of using dominance, it can be that they are trying to figure out where they fit in the social hierarchy with other dogs. Dominance isn't really the right term there because dominance is fluid. It depends. Like, Jade might be dominant with a toy. If she growls at Daphne and Daphne backs away, then when it comes to that toy, yes, Jade is dominant. But if Daphne jumps on the couch and Jade jumps on the couch and neither of them care, then neither one of them is dominant in that situation because it depends on the resource. Then they don't care about the couch. So it definitely could be from not being neutered. So sorry, I don't know if this one, because we've been talking about the dog park, but then also talking about resource guarding, so I'm not sure which one you're replying to. But if it's the dog park one, then yeah, sometimes dogs can try to figure out where they fit in the social hierarchy. But I don't let dogs fight. If it seems to be like it's getting too intense and they're getting, and it's not play anymore, I just take them out. Okay. And looking down, it can happen with dogs that are neutered as well. It doesn't have to be a dog that's not neutered, it can be a dog neutered or not neutered. In fact, whenever one of my dogs meets a new dog, sometimes she will do like the paw over or the chin over or something like that. And it's not that she's being dominant, because that's not it. It's she's trying to like show where she is in that social hierarchy with a new dog coming in. So I don't let her do that. I just, just say, hey, and they can play, but then I break it up if they need a break. Okay, I live in an apartment and my Yorkie Poo is constantly barking at noises from the hallways. There's always dogs barking, kids screaming. So what I would do is the same thing I talked about earlier, is condition your dogs to sounds. So I don't know if you were here when I did the little example on my phone, but start with it really small. Again, you can get out it's playing. I had a dog that was aggressive towards skateboards, so I got on YouTube and typed in skateboards, and there were kids riding skateboards, and all I needed was the sound. It worked perfect. So we started at a low volume, and as soon as the dog can just hear it but isn't barking yet, treat, 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 treat. Sound stops, treat stop. So the dog associates the sound with the treat. Then turn it up a little bit. Do the same thing. Keep turning it up until your dog can handle it at full volume. If your dog starts to bark, then you need to back off on the volume and go back to a lower volume that your dog can handle, treat some more there, and then slowly increase that. And do that with any sound that your dog reacts to. The other thing you could do with your Yorkie poo is the relaxation. You Google that, I'm sure it pops up. And it teaches your dog how to be calm with increasing distractions. So you start with like a go to your bed, or if your dog has a crate or a bed or a mat or someplace he likes to lay down. And then you start with like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you like knock on the door. I mean, it goes in order, and it increases distractions to where your dog just learns how to be calm. So you could do that so that as your dog hears more and more distractions, and if he's barking at the balcony window, it's probably stuff that he hears outside. So if you know what he's barking at outside, you can desensitize him to those sounds as well. Answer this last question and then call it a night. Okay, Kayla Albu. Oh, you've been here before too, huh? Okay, I love this question. Good games, training, jobs for high prey drive dogs. We see rabbits on, oh, she can have that. We see rabbits on our walks and he goes nuts and gets super hyper focused. So jobs for high prey drive dogs, I would do like tracking, basically like nose work. So when you go out, like lay a track and put treats. So like we basically walk and like shuffle our feet a little bit to lay the scent. But we'll also like put hot dogs in our tracks when we start. Like then eventually the dog learns to track. So teaching the dog nose to ground, track human scent rather than rabbits. You can do the go hunt game. So take some treats and like throw them out in the brush or wherever you're hiking and tell your dog to go hunt, because then he's going to hunt for the food. You use something high value like the salmon treats, cheese, hot dogs, because then it's going to engage his nose, engage his brain, and give him something else to do. Nose work actually makes dogs tired. So sometimes like I'll hide treats around the house. I will take like an item and put my dog on a sit stay and pretend like I hide it in like 3 or 4 different places and then really hide it in one place. And then I'll say, okay, go search, go find it. And then let the dog go run around and sniff and see if they can find it. So anything like that, where they have to use their nose. You could feed your dog in a snuffle mat. That's going to be good. You could teach your dog like to fetch a stick or something. So like if he sees a rabbit, so like, oh, instead of being hyper focused on the rabbit, go fetch the stick and do it the other way. So I had a dog, my search and rescue dog had such a high prey drive. It was insane. And if we would just go for a hike, if he wasn't working and searching, he would pick up like a stick to like self-reward. And so sometimes I would just let him carry a stick and he was totally fine with that. And then he didn't want to chase anything else. So you could teach him like to carry something in his mouth so that he has a job. So here, it's your job to carry this stick or carry this toy. Sometimes he would even pick up rocks and carry rocks. But give them something else to do, or have him engage in any kind of nose work, search and rescue stuff, scent work, things like that. That's going to be really good for high prey dried dogs, and it's going to tire them out. So anyway, thank you for joining us. It's actually like 1 minute to 8. So thanks for joining. I will be back next Wednesday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So join us, and remember to put in your name and where you're from so I can enter you in the drawing. Again, we'll do the drawing between 7 and 7:30. I usually try to do it around 7:30 and then stay on for another half hour to answer questions. So thanks everyone for joining, and have a great week, and we'll see you next